Hello, it's Tessa, one of the news editors here at Manx Radio, back with you for another episode of Newscast. Today we're talking parole, and that's because the family of a murdered teenager have called for the law on the Isle of Man to be changed to give victims more of a voice at parole hearings. Now, some of you will be familiar with the names I'm about to read to you, others won't. We're going back in time over 2 decades to when 16-year-olds George Green and Samantha Barton were killed by a former abattoir worker, Peter Newbery. Now that happened in February 2002. Newbery was 23 at the time. 2 years later, in 2004, Newbery was jailed for life following a trial and was transferred to a UK prison and told he must serve a minimum of 20 years. The sentencing deemster told the unemployed man he'd shown no remorse for the killings, adding psychiatric reports made for sorry reading. Their content gives a chilling insight into the sort of young man you are, he was reported as saying at the time. Now, after 2 decades behind bars, Newbery applied for parole, and his application has been heard by the Isle of Man's Parole Committee. That committee is an independent statutory group within the criminal justice system which advises the Department of Home Affairs. It's made up of 9 lay members, which government says brings an outside and independent perspective to decisions being made for offenders concerning their release into the community. The family of George Green have told Manx Radio Newbery's application for release was blocked unanimously, with professionals determining he was nowhere near ready to be released. But whilst Newbery may still be incarcerated, he is now back on the Isle of Man. He was brought to the prison in Derby from that high security prison in the United Kingdom in 2020. George's family believe this was in preparation for the parole hearing and, following its outcome, have called for him to be returned. George's mother, Margaret Green, and his sister, Jackie Christian, have described Newbery as an animal who's still refusing to reveal details of why he did what he did. They say they've had sleepless nights and nightmares in the run-up to the hearing and have been critical of the support they've received from government. Margaret and Jackie told Manx Radio they're thankful for the continued support of the community, but believe it's time the law was changed.
In the UK, you are able to attend the parole hearings and read out your family impact statements. We were told that it's not available in the Isle of Man, and the excuse was that our jurisdiction doesn't allow it, which is quite a broad, sweeping statement. We were assigned family liaison officers at the beginning of the year before we knew about the parole. They've been quite hard to contact, and then just a week or 2 before the parole in this October, we were told that we weren't going to have a family liaison officer now, that we had to deal with just victim support. In the UK, you are assigned a proper victim liaison officer who, talks you through what's going to happen.
They give you guidance, and we've had no guidance.
We had nothing.
No.
Would you have a message for government then in this case? Because as we said, this isn't going to go away. Is it that you want that support, you need that support?
I think we do, really. We were told he'd be locked up for a very long time, maybe
indefinitely. We were
told at the trial. We would find out everything, what happened. We don't know any more than what we did back in 20 years ago, because he won't talk.
We can put it to one side, for now. But we know, as you say, it will happen again. Leading up to the parole, sleepless nights, nightmares, it brings it all back. It does. So hopefully now we've got this outcome, we can kind of put it to one side. But we do want things changed. We feel, as a family, that the law should be changed. Victims' families should be able to go into the parole hearing and read their family impact statements. That's what we think. And also, he was brought back from Franklin Prison, the UK prison, for Category A murderers to the Isle of Man 3 years ago, and that was probably more so because they knew that he was going to apply for parole around this time. If he hasn't changed in those 3 years or showed any kind of remorse, why keep him on the island? Why not send him back to a high security prison? You know, our island prison isn't high security, so why should he be in it?
The Department of Home Affairs has previously told Manx Radio it can't comment on specific cases, but would like to make it clear that eligibility for parole does not mean it would be granted. In a statement, it said, in the case of prisoners serving a life sentence, there is no automatic release. All victims of serious and violent crime are offered access to a victim liaison officer. The Department of Home Affairs also provides funding to victim support to provide care and support to victims of crime in the Isle of Man. The statement continues, as part of the standard parole hearing process, all victims and families have the opportunity to submit a statement to the parole committee, which will be taken into account as part of their considerations. In some cases, the victims do not wish to provide a statement because it will be seen by the offender. In these cases, the department says the probation officer will summarise the victim impact statement in the parole report to ensure the victim's voice is still represented in the parole committee's considerations. The parole committee consider a range of information from different sources, the department says, to determine whether the offender's risk to the public has reduced. And that statement concludes, under our legislation, even if released, all life prisoners will be subject to licence conditions for the rest of their lives. This means if they breach the conditions, they may end up back in prison. The department and the parole committee are keen to bring the voice of the victim even more to the forefront of the justice system and will be working with victim support over the coming months to do this.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Little Manx Radio newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.